Hey folks, Kevin Noah here from Flight Designer LLC, and it is time for, I think, an update to the MoCap Diaries. So the main change that I've been working on lately is the addition of a second suit. There's a couple things that are kind of in the works, but my immediate challenge is figuring out how to run two suits at the same time, which Perception Neuron Studio can do. I asked about that, it was confirmed, and so I was able to secure a couple of different grants to patch together and get enough to get a second suit and a second pair of gloves. And then I found out, oh wait, we need other equipment too. So heads up, if anybody's planning this, you will also need a router, and you'll need a PoE sort of connection box for all of the different Ethernet connections, because you have to run it through Ethernet cables, not through the USB connection the way you can with the transceivers when you're doing just one suit. So it is a bit of a different setup. It is more than just the two suits that you need. You do need a couple other odds and ends as well. And my current setup now, I've also had to get a cart because I can't carry it all at once, and I don't want to like leave stuff unattended while I go back for more. So I've now got a cart. I've got the two suits in their cases. I've got the router. I've got the PoE switch. I've got an extension cord and a power strip, because now I've got all this other stuff I need to connect, as well as my laptop. So it's growing. It's becoming a little bit more crazy. And that's before we add the facial capture, which is another thing that is kind of on hold at the moment, but that we're still trying to figure out, even for one, let alone for two at the same time using two different devices. So I'll talk a little bit more about that later. But let's look at some of these first. What I had was basically the first successful attempt here at getting two suits at the same time. I say basically successful because it took a half an hour of things not working first, and this is actually the second time I've tried. And had similar results the first time, of a half hour or more of just things not working, and then it finally worked for a little bit, but that time it didn't record the way I thought it would. So this time I actually got a recording of some data of two suits at the same time that I can send on to the student that I've been working with to try and hook us up. So the main challenges that I'm still having with this two suit thing, now that I've got it all wired up, is just getting things calibrated and working together. So, and I'll kind of fast forward in this footage so you don't have to sit through the whole 20-minute screen recording I did. Last time I had issues where like half the sensors just wouldn't read on one of the suits. They were fine calibrating when the suit was in the box, but then when I put the suit on, I had no legs. And you know, for some reason, redoing it like 10 times, my legs came back. And I don't know what was different or why that happened. But this time I didn't have that particular issue. There were a couple times when like one sensor would be out until I reconnected, and then it would be back. You can see here signal percentage is pretty good, but magnetic varied between good and poor and severe and things like that. But there didn't seem to be any correlation that I could see between that and actual accuracy of the model and what it was doing there. So I'm not sure, again, what some of this means or how to address it or do anything with it, how to get it better. I don't know, looking at this calibration stuff, I have never gotten it to say that I had good results, and it, you know, tells me that I need to stay more still, even when the stuff is sitting there in the box on the floor, not moving at all. So I'm not sure, again, how important or how relevant or what to do about that error message about the sensor initialization quality being poor, and please stay steady. Whatever. And then going into calibration, I noticed there's an S-pose option that I can't check. And it didn't seem to matter if I was recording or not. Sometimes you can't change settings while you're recording, so you have to stop the recording and go again. I don't know what S-pose would add, or if that would help, or how to add it, so that's something I'll need to ask the Noitom folks about. But once you finally got it going here, you can see we've got two suits, and there was a while here when I could get one of them to work at a time. So I would calibrate one suit, and it would be fine. The other one would be a little wonky. That's fine. Go through, check the other box, calibrate the other suit, and it would work fine, but the other one that had been fine before would now be wonky and all kind of messed up. So I'd recalibrate that one, and then this one again would get messed up. It happened like 3 or 4 times in a row. And again, I don't know why. I'm not sure what the issue is, but for some reason, magically on like the 5th or 6th time it worked. So it's this kind of thing where, okay, I guess it works, but this makes me look like I don't know what I'm doing if I walk into the classroom and I just have a lot of errors where it's like, I don't know, we'll just keep trying and hope it works. That does not instill confidence in me as the person doing this setup or in the system itself. So again, I'd love to figure out some things that I could try that might help address some of those issues. And then in terms of syncing up location, so I was using spots on the carpet, or then when that wasn't working, I tried putting down one of the strap bags. Ideally, I'll have some spike tape. So we have this sort of send back to source location or home button thing. So you get one person at a time to stand on that while you click that button, counts down, and then it snaps them back to that home grid with where the blue and red axes converge on the PN Studio window. And that should let us all sync up so that we're all relationally correct to each other. And after several tries, it got close, but this is still the kind of thing where the recorded data, if we were doing this for a performance, for a movie or a video game, we'd have to clean that data up because it's still not exactly right. And several times I would try to redo this. You can see I repeated it several times. And we're still a little offset. So just trying to do like a high five or hold hands or dance or whatever. This was my teenage daughter getting strapped up this time for the suit with me. It is not Danielle and Rachel. They were the ones who did the Zoom walkthrough with me for 2 suits, and they set those names, and I haven't bothered to change them. So that would be the actual NoiTom employees, Danielle and Rachel. But this is me and my daughter, and trying to do things like, lean on each other, pat her on the head, whatever, it misses. So it's not exact if you were trying to do something like a dance scene or a fight scene, or even just, an intimate conversation where someone puts their hand on their shoulder. At the moment, that's gonna have to be cleaned up because it's gonna miss. And so it's not the kind of thing that, for example, if you wanted to do it live, a live production, in this sort of like, what is theater, what is film world that we were all in a couple years ago in peak pandemic times, this wouldn't really be reliable enough for that. Partly because I don't know which iteration of calibration would finally work or when I'd have to stop and recalibrate, but also just because the data's not quite crisp enough. I wish there was a way to calibrate 2 suits together where it's like, now have them touch palms, or put your hands on the other person's shoulder, or touch their sensor on their head with your palm. Something like that, where we can actually see where the sensors are relative to each other. Because at the moment, the system of just snapping to home doesn't exactly do it. And you'd think that if it's reading the 2 suits, it could somehow be able to compare the sensors of the 2 suits as well and make those be in the same place at the same time. Touch right hands or something like that. I don't know how doable any of this is, but I'm just throwing out some suggestions in case the NoiTom PN Studio folks are watching this and looking for ideas. So it's at least gives us a little bit of data we can start testing things with. My student can try putting this now into Unity and trying to get the feed correct for 2 characters coming in from that. So that's great. I still hope at some point I can maybe get some demo scene work done using some of the characters I got from CG Trader. And I'd still love to figure out the facial capture thing and get that into, but we'll see. And if it's not live anyway, maybe that's an interesting acting challenge of, we did the scene with the bodies, now you're gonna go back and do the same scene, but just recording the face, and can we put those together in a way that works or something? I don't know. There's options. None of these solutions are perfect yet, but they're full of potential, we'll put it that way. Only other thing I want to add is an exciting thing that where NoiTom actually did take a recommendation, because I was asking about, if I do the facial capture, I've got this helmet rig I've been building that'll hold the phone, because the professional ones are hundreds and hundreds of dollars, and I could make one for like 60 or 70, even with like buying the counterweights and stuff. But then the question comes, how do I hold the head sensor? Because it's right now on a headband, and I don't know that it would work around the helmet. Let me show you the helmet I got. So what I proposed to them was if they could send a 3D printer file, like an STL file, posted on Thingiverse or something, so that we could print out one of the sensor holders, then I could attach that to the back of the helmet itself, or the front of the helmet, or whatever, and then we could just clip the sensor right into the helmet. And I think that would be probably the best solution for being able to integrate as fully as possible a helmet rig like this with the PN Studio suit. I can get that. I need to cinch this down, add a little more padding. It's still a work in progress. But if I could get the sensor just on the back of here, then I wouldn't have to deal with stretching out my straps or anything like that. And they took me up on it. So there is now an STL file on Thingiverse of that sensor holder. I've had other things going on my 3D printer so far, so I haven't tried printing one. So we'll see. They were a little concerned about like how fragile it might be, how secure it would be, people damaging their sensors. I don't know, we'll see. But it's an exciting possibility. There's that word again, the potential. So I will tinker with that, and that'll probably be one of the future MoCap updates. So thanks for anybody who's interested. I hope this is useful information for those of you who are trying to use the PM Studio setup or considering which system to buy. And I'll keep sharing as I have things to share. Thanks.